Why the name Radiant? What does that mean to you, and why did you choose that name for your book?
Oh man, because it's just about being brighter.
Okay.
Um, I feel like I've always at least wanted to give love and light my whole life, whether I showed that to the world or not. Um, so being able to grow through that and become that eventually and just be a brighter version of myself
Okay.
is kind of what I was going for.
You accomplished that?
I did. And I mean, I feel like I really did. And, that book is kind of like, you did it. And even if I don't go any further than this right here, and I did it.
NL Publishing Service Academy proudly presents Listen Up, I Got a Story to Tell podcast with literary success consultant DK Walker. Sharing with you writing tips, marketing ideas, publishing information, and inspiring interviews for your author journey. So, without further ado, let's get right into it with DK Walker.
I'm DK Walker, and this is Listen Up, I Got a Story to Tell podcast. On today's podcast, I am joined by Brit Kuhn, author of Radiant. And without further ado, let's get into the show. So, Brit, tell me who you are versus who you were then as you begin to write your book.
Mhm. I feel like I was definitely in a lower position, if that makes sense. How do you describe that? Like, my self-worth was definitely lacking. Um, I didn't know who I was or what I wanted then, I feel like, but I just knew I wanted something different.
Okay.
And then in kind of writing it, I feel like writing it kind of took me to rock bottom.
Expound upon that.
Like, in order to rebuild or reprogram, you have to kind of like clear everything out. You have to start from scratch. You have to, what do they call it? When like it's like a computer thing. When you
Reboot?
yeah, it's kind of like when you're putting a new software in, you have to like take it back to baseline
Right.
or basis. So it's like writing it kind of pulled everything out that I had shoved down for years, my whole life.
Okay.
Put it all out there, so it was no longer here, so it was like baseline.
So do you think writing and what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen that's listening to the podcast, we're talking about Radiant.
Oh, yeah.
I do. It's never that far out of my reach. A great story. And one of the reasons I do have her on the podcast today, because if we're talking about somebody that stirred adversity in the face and literally said, enough is enough, I'm going to do a U-turn in my life. She is the epitome of that. And that's the reason why I have her on the show today. She has a phenomenal story to tell. So my next question to you, pardon me, Britt, is do you believe that writing has been therapeutic for you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and I mean, it literally started in therapy.
Okay. So where did the idea come from to actually write the book? Was it you wanting to write all along, or did somebody prompt you to say that you had this phenomenal story of hitting rock bottom, not making a conscious choice of not staying there and bouncing up and changing your life day by day?
Well, it's kind of both, and, I share this story in my book. So, when I was younger, I used to write all the time, and it's funny because I have found journals that I had when I was a kid, and, it's my writing is so tiny and neat and, like, pretty and fancy.
Okay.
They say that, the neater and the tinier and the closer together your words are, like, the more calmer and, patient and much time and stuff you have. So as a younger teenager, when I was able to write freely, I did that a lot and expressed myself in poetry and I don't know, all the things all the time. And I journaled myself my whole life. My mother found it.
Oh,
And I grew up with parents that were not law-abiding citizens. So the things that I witnessed and saw were not things that should be written down.
okay. I
So
won't ask those questions either.
some of those are shared in my book too. But so I got in trouble for writing those things down, and writing was therapeutic for me because again, I had witnessed all this stuff. That's how I released it. And then so I didn't have that my whole life. I stopped writing then, and I just never wrote. And my handwriting had become like so sloppy. And as a nurse, like it was funny. Like they made jokes about how I should have been a doctor because my handwriting was
Mm,
just atrocious. It's awful. So when we started switched to digital turning, oh, everybody loved it so much better. But yeah, my handwriting just got worse. So I don't know. I always kind of thought that was funny. But in therapy, my first task was to write a timeline of everything that I saw and witnessed as a child, just to get it all out and to figure out what it was that I was
okay.
avoiding. So the
In
time
reading
program started it all.
Interesting. In reading your book, there's something that caught my attention. I wanted to talk to you about. You said that your mother was, for lack of better words, hell bent on breaking the generational curses of domestic abuse with starting in her household, right? But in doing so, she neglected the major factor being a more caring, understanding, and loving mom. So I know that you have went out of your way to broke that curse as well and still be a loving, caring mom that's in the moment of your kids, friends, and family, right? How much of
Right.
that was a struggle for you to find that balance?
Oh my gosh, it was a huge struggle, and I failed. I feel like for many, many years. I didn't get it right, and um, when my children started mimicking some of the behaviors that I dealt with or did, or she did, or, like the stuff you're not supposed to do, but you kind of do it anyway, but you tell your kids you're not supposed to do those things. Don't do that, but you do it on the sly. Like it's kind of, they watch you.
Yep,
It doesn't matter
they
what you
do.
say. They do what you do. So they're mimicking my behavior. They're bringing home the same types of guys and bad friends that I was hanging out with. They're doing the same thing. So I'm not doing life much different. I wasn't doing it much better because I was still missing something. So while she focused on the one thing and failed at that one thing, and I nailed that one thing, there was still 10 other things we had both missed for a while.
Learn how to write faster, conquer writer's block, and tell a story your readers will love. In less than 1 month, writing only 3 pages daily, you can go from book idea to manuscript using the unfair writing advantage. Most authors take 8 months on average to write just 1 book. But in a fraction of that time, you will learn how to craft a book your readers will love and not be hunched over your laptop days on end to do so. Just go to www.theunfairwritingadvantage.com to see what has the self-publishing industry buzzing. Now back to the podcast.
Mm, okay. So
So,
how
like,
was you able?
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So those things that you missed for a while, when did you became conscious of like, okay, I'm nailing this one thing. I'm being loving. I'm being, it consciously involved in my, family's life, but I'm failing miserably in other areas. But you got to keep in mind and whatnot. Parenting is trial and error. Nobody gives you a handbook on how to be a great mom, great dad. It's trial and error. And then of course you parent each kid's differently. How did you get everything on one accord? Whereas you was like, okay, I need to do better in these areas.
I'm not sure that I have completely, but I feel like I just looked at other people that were killing it in that area. I didn't have the role models. I didn't have anybody teaching me. I feel like from age 16 on, I have raised myself. So if you were an adult figure in my life, I looked at you. I watched you, to see if you were doing it right, at least in one area or the other. I could take advice from you here and advice from you here. And I wasn't always surrounded by the best people giving me the greatest advice either. I kind of learned a lot of trial and error, and I did a lot of the wrong things too, because that's what was modeled for me. But I kind of did the best I could. And when I didn't know, I went out and I paid for it and I got that professional advice. And I kind of figured out there was always like a common way, this is this way most people travel. There's this way where, the elite kind of go. And then there's this way where the lower of the totem pole kind of go. And then there's loopholes in between. So, I try and
Navigate that.
ease my way in between sometimes because
Yes.
of where I'm at.
Right. And that's where everybody's at if you think about it. You just recently said that, what you didn't know, you went and paid for that advice, that therapy. What sparked you to be like, okay, I know I can get better advice by paying for it?
Oh, well, that would definitely be my business in Pure Romance. And I mean, I've had so many different opportunities that, I've gotten from that business that, initially I've had to invest in, and trainings that I've had to invest in. And those types of trainings, you can get that and invest in those in any area of your life that you need. So if you need help, you do an investing class, and it costs money and it costs time, and a little bit of time and a little bit of money, sometimes that's can propel you further than anything else.
Facts, 1,000% facts. So looking at where you at today, if you had to give some advice to yourself when you were at your lowest point, what would that advice be?
Oh man, stop trying to have a partner.
Okay. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of my life is focused on having, I'm gonna get emotional,
It's all
having
right.
people love me.
Okay.
And, my mom didn't, as much as I wanted her to. My father didn't as much as I wanted him to. My ex-husbands didn't as much as I wanted them to. And I wasn't always the greatest person either, so a lot of my life was focused on somebody loving me. And if I would have invested it into other things sooner,
I get you. I
it would have
promise you.
been a lot less hurt.
Well, with that being said and whatnot, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
But I wouldn't have
Right. That's what I was about
had
to say.
the person
Exactly.
like that now. So, be able to help other people. I mean,
Right. Sometimes we go through our own personal hells to prevent others in our life from going through the same hells, right? Because
Right.
and that's one of the reasons that your story is so phenomenal, that you went through so many ups and downs. And the key thing that you said that you would say to your younger self is about, self-love. And that's one message I really want the listeners to get today. I don't care where you at in your life, highs and lows. You have to love yourself emphatically more so than anybody else. That may sound selfish, but if you don't love yourself, right, you'll be subjected to so many ups and downs of other people, what you think you should be doing for other people and whatnot. And I think you have conquered that role, commendably. Like you really, like me first, and in doing so, you turned out to be a better mother, better friend to your family and friends.
Right. Right. When I started telling my children no, when I started telling my friends no, when I started telling people no, and doing things for me first is a lot of a lot of the shift happened. And, in watching people's reactions, to me asking for personal space because I needed it. Um,
Right.
it's not like, like I'm a hardworking person and there ain't nothing I wouldn't do for anybody. But, for me to ask for this moment and for somebody to give me such a harsh, angry reaction to that, like that said everything I needed to hear
Mm-hmm.
about who, they were and how they really felt about me. And I remember doing that with everybody in my life and kind of just watching everybody kind of walk out and, or, me having to put up that boundary and be like, you're just not it right now. And I'm sorry.
Writing your manuscript has been hard enough, so let NL Publishing Service Academy make self-publishing your book easy as possible. From beautifully designed full and ebook covers to uniquely done typesetting and formatting, our goal is to professionally enhance your manuscripts and book covers to give your readers the best reading experience possible. Need marketing tips, tactics, and strategies? We can help you with that. How about branding and broadening the reach of your author platform? Yep, we can help you with that too. So no matter what your self-publishing needs are, NL Publishing Service Academy has you covered. Just head over to www.nlpublishingservices.com for whatever your self-publishing needs are. And now back to the podcast.
Well, self-preservation, right? God gives us that to all animals, the fight or flee method. So sometimes you have to fight for your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, your spiritual well-being. And just by saying no to people lets you know exactly where they stand in your life. A person that can take no, like, okay, cool, you just said yes to 1,000 other things. You have the right and you deserve to say no. And they need to be understanding of that, right? So that's a great way to find the people that's red flags. Moving on into your book, what was the writing process for you when you finally decided, okay, this is it. I'm gonna bury my soul on these pages for the world to read. What was the writing process for you?
Started that timeline. So my therapist gave me a task. I started writing that, and it was like I thought I had finished, and a couple days later, I'd be like, "Oh, there's more." But wait, there's more. And it just kind of kept going for a while. And then I feel like once I finally was like, okay, I'm really done with the timeline. I just kind of started like, wow, it felt good to kind of get all that out. And it wasn't meant to be a book. I just kind of started writing again because I remembered I'd like to write and how therapeutic it was. And I remember Googling like how many words average in this, and it was like 30,000 or 30 to 50,000. I'm like, well, if I can get 30,000, I'm gonna message Leanne and figure out how to publish this thing.
Well, congratulations for sticking to it. But, secret, there's no right amount of words to get your story out, right? But I think once you got it done, you understood it could have been done sooner. But I am so grateful that you actually chose my company to help you self-publish. I got to know you and your story, and I'm such a fan of yours. I am like a huge fan of yours, what you've been conquered, what you've been came through, and the inspiration. Anybody that's read the book knows it's very inspirational. It's very raw. You will tear up. I did tear up. I did feel a certain type of way. And as you were tearing up, I had to bite my bottom lip and like maintain, right? I have an image to uphold. With that being said, why the name Radiant? What does that mean to you? And why did you choose that name for your book?
Oh man, because it's just about being brighter.
Okay.
I feel like I've always at least wanted to give love and light my whole life, whether I showed that to the world or not. So being able to grow through that and become that eventually and just be a brighter version of myself
Okay.
is kind of what I was going for.
You accomplished that?
I did. And I mean, I feel like I really did. And, that book is kind of like, you did it. And even if I don't go any further than this right here, and I did it.
The beautiful thing about it is that you did it. That's an accomplishment that nobody can take away from you. Your words will live forever. Like, that's one thing about being an author. Once we leave here, Earth, our words live forever. And the beautiful thing about your book, your impactful words will live forever.
I did it for my children. They would know that no matter what, mommy, if mommy's a train wreck, you don't ever hold that, keep that, own that. That's not you. I did my best for you. And anything that I did to hurt you is never your fault. And I'm sorry. And like, just so like that, whether I did or not, you know what I mean? I just don't ever want them to carry that.
Okay. I think, and I'm pretty sure in you doing this discovery of yourself that you've learned what it takes not to place the burdens of you and your past upon your kids. I'm pretty sure you've gotten that down pat.
Right. I hope so.
Yeah, well, like I said, being a parent is not nobody gives you like, okay, you're pregnant, baby's here, here's a book stating this is what you do.
Right.
There is everything is trial and error. I promise you. Like my daughter, she's 13 years old, and while she's on the couch, birding her phone or watching, Harry Potter, whatever the case may be, I'll look at her and I'll say to myself, I can't believe I'm somebody's father. Like, who in the world Like, don't they know who I am as a person? Don't they know the wrong I've done in my life? Don't they know how much I've been effed up? I wonder where would deem me, you know, commendable or, responsible enough to be somebody's father. But here we are 13 years later, and she's still alive, she's still breathing, she's still eating. I must be doing
Amen.
something. Yeah, thank you so
Right.
much. I must be doing something right. I said that to say you're doing something right as well. Like, we can't expect our kids to be perfect. Only thing we do is love them, and how they turn out is the choices they make eventually in life. But only thing we do is love them as much as humanly possible. And from your book and knowing you personally, you do that in abundance. So you're definitely well on your way from leaving all your generational curses behind.
That I love it. Thank you. That makes me happy to hear.
Just being honest. So as you're writing your book and you're believing that you're done, believing like, that I'm almost done. Oh, nope, I have more story to tell. I have more story to tell. At any point in time, did
I
you
was
feel
saying,
as though,
you can answer the how many times did I pull it back from you and like,
well,
1 second, I need
well,
wait, it's not done yet. Wait, I mean,
right. As much as I love you, I try not to think about those times. I try not to think about those times. I'm joking.
no, I
But
know. No, I'm like, this man's gonna kill me
But
again.
as being author first, I understand. Like I understand, right? I wrote my own books, and it has to be right in my mind before I let somebody else. And so I got that. And that doesn't bother me as much. I may pretend it does. Like I said, I get that before I release my works to the world. In my mind, it has to be right. And I don't know what right is for anybody else, but in my mind, it has to be right. And no author can truly quantify that when they know they know. So, and
Yeah.
I knew that's where you were at in the self-publishing process. So with that being said, in your writings of your book, were you ever worried that you were going to offend somebody, bring up something that you shouldn't have, and any regrets?
Um. Oh yeah. So I mean, I worry about offending everybody on a regular because that's kind of what I do. Um. And it's because I've met myself on a whole another level on a bunch of different topics, and I'm not afraid to have those rough and raw conversations with people. So if you're dealing with something that's really tough and difficult to deal with, like I bring that up very easily. And a lot of people clearly, it's a struggle to talk about rough and hard things. Like hard shit's hard shit. Um, and so I trigger people a lot. Um, and that's kind of normal. But my friends also appreciate that too. So there's a lot of times people come to me for that reason. In real estate, in the nursing world, in regular life. Because I will have those conversations. I will bounce those things off of. I also, you know, go to court with women who are meeting their abusers for the first time because they just need somebody to help, like, sit with them and stand up with them and be there with them and not afraid to look dude in the eye. I'm that
Mhm.
person. So I'm not, so I do on a regular. That's kind of
Nothing wrong with that, right? Not at all. Like sometimes we
I
have
try
our
not to. Like, I'm not like mean about it because I don't like confrontation. If that makes sense.
oh, it does, right?
Well,
So what happens, we people that are givers, people that are givers to a fault. There comes a point in time in our lives, because God knows I am the ultimate pleaser, self-giver, but it comes a point in time in your life you got to draw the line in the sand and be like, you know what? Not today. I'm not going to find the correct way for you not to hurt my feelings anymore. I'm not going to find the correct way to let you down for being an asshole towards me. I'm not going to find the right way to make you feel better by being a shitty person to me. Not today. And once you make that conscious effort, that conscious, like, me first, or there's a certain amount of respect that you're going to garner me, then you're going to ruffle some feathers. You're going to piss some people off. But in the long run, you're going to have a peace of mind. It's like you're not going, and I totally understand where you're coming from. In the long run, you're not going out of your way to piss people off. What you're doing is you're protecting your boundaries for your sanity's sake, for your emotional sake. You're protecting your boundaries. That's that job well
yeah.
done. Anybody that can't deal with that, you can't call themselves your friend. And they can learn from people like you in doing so. Like, hey, like, she's not being offensive for being, offending sake, or she's not offending for being offensive sake. What she's doing is she's setting a parameter, and I need to respect that. Right. So that's definitely a good look. Um, are you worried about anything in the book coming back to haunt you?
Um, and I mean, it could. I'm sure there's there's, two sides. They say there's three sides of every story, right? There's his side, her side, and the truth somewhere in between, So I mean, so I very clearly say this is my perception of things. And then certain times of my life that I was writing, I was an addict at those times. So I mean, my perception is probably way off. It's stated clearly in the book too. Like I recognize I was a different person at that time than I am here. I process things a heck of a lot different then than I do now. But the way that I process things then kind of helps me not to go back to that now. I process things a little bit differently now. So it's aligned. As far as any of the events, those are all kind of public record and court documents, and you can pull them all up.
Okay. Okay. Well, sometimes you have to be good for what it is, and then I think there's a quote that Leanne said, our mutual friend, that we both love. Like, if you wanted me to write well about you, you should have treated me better. Something to that extent, right?
Yes, yes, I think I put that in my book too, and it was kind of, if you wanted people to write, if they wanted you to write warmly about them, then they should have acted better.
Yeah, and that's actually in life, right? Like, if you want, like, you'll get from me and anybody else that's loving themselves in the right way. You have to treat them well to get that same result. Once you don't, you get that in return. Or when I get to tell my story, you'll get the exact facts, and those facts may not be flattering to the way that you treated me. So it
And
is
there's
what it
plenty
is.
of things that I did wrong too, and those are all stated in that book as well. Like I own all my stuff. Accountability. If accountability is not your strong suit, we won't get along.
That's it. Okay. How long did it take you to be accountable when you was making that transition?
I've been accountable kind of the whole time. I feel like I've always owned my stuff. Because I've recognized that the quickest way to ever get over something is to, kind of humble myself to the floor if I have to. So I've always been willing, no, even when I wasn't wrong, always willing to be the
Okay.
doormat. So that wasn't kind of the issue for me. The issue for me, was saying that the stuff happened to me.
Okay. All right.
Me actually saying all the things and actually coming out and worrying and not worrying about if it was going to come back to haunt me or not.
Got
That
you. Got you.
was my issue. And
So
where I
fast forward to current day, I think we both agree that you are in a better space, better person, more productive. What is the message that you want your book to give to people, especially women that walked in your shoes or had similar situations that you had?
Yeah, no matter who it is in your life, I don't care what the magical title is in their is they hold, mom, dad, husband, sister, whatever, I don't care. If they're not actually rooting for you and excited for you when things, go good and sad for you when things go bad, like, if this person who's supposed to be your person is not really rooting for you, let them go. The longer you wait and hope they come back, the less chance it's going to happen.
Hmm.
And as much as that sucks, the
It does.
faster you can get over it and move on, the better you'll be. The faster you will find the people that will root for you.
1,000%. And so how long did it take you to come to that realization?
37 years,
Okay. I will not
36,
ask. Okay.
36.
Right. And as a man that has a little age on himself, I'm not going to ask you next question what your age is because men don't do that. But it doesn't. And I guess, as long as you learn that lesson, forget the time that it took you, as long as you actually learn that, because only then can you start to truly move forward. Right.
Right, right. And I mean, it came in stages. I would little bits and pieces of, me starting to take better care of myself and doing little things. And it just kind of built up and snowballed into, what I should have been doing the whole time.
Okay.
Like daily routines that you're supposed to take, what you put into your body, whether doesn't have to be perfect all the time, but taking care of yourself. what you're fueling your mind with, all the things. It matters. It matters.
Yeah, it does.
Everybody
It
knows
does.
it matters. We try to avoid the fact that it matters, but it matters. So whenever
It,
you're ready to focus on what matters, then you'll get better at it.
that's 1,000%. I definitely agree. Where do you see yourself at in your author career? Is there another book on the horizon? Do you feel as though that you have more story to give, or since you're in a better space of being, inspiring, do you feel that you can, use that as a stepping stone to reach more people?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, I am always available, I feel like, for people that reach out on a personal level to kind of chat with and help kind of guide and direct them. There is a second book that I've been working on, and I'm really excited about that. And yeah, so there's talks and works of possible speeches or keynote type things coming up this year. So I'm looking forward to hopefully doing that, and just kind of no matter what just here, no matter what hard shit you've been through, you can bounce back from anything with the right mindset and the right steps.
Mm. Well, congratulations on the speeches that I know is going to be phenomenal. Congratulations on the new book that I know that you're going to kill like you did the first book. Before I let you get out of here and whatnot, where do you see yourself in 3 years from now?
So I mean, I feel like I am kind of going to be bigger in the real estate game. This is my third year in. I'm very excited to be with a new team. I'm looking into investing in my own properties here soon, and jumping into the investing side of real estate as well. So I'm hoping to be more into that. My nursing career is it's just on the side for fun, but I have some great clients that I'm hoping to keep and watch them grow up, because I love my little kids. And my hoping to have established some roots and have my own house. Maybe a new friend, I don't know.
Well,
We'll see how that goes.
yes, we most definitely will. If I don't know anything about you, you put your mind towards something and you get the job done. So everything that you said you're going to see yourself in 3 years, I see that coming to pass.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I do try to not speak it out unless I really mean it.
Well, that's another way that we identify. Like, we understand what the past has done, right? And we understand the powers in the tongue, right? But along
Mhm.
with speaking things, we understand that there has to be a work ethic that goes with that. And anybody that hasn't read your book will definitely see that you work your ass off from transitioning to what you were to what you currently are, right? And it's a
Right.
beautiful story. Like I said, it's going to make you cry. It's going to make you feel some type of way, but above all else, it's going to inspire you to pull yourself up and make you realize that the things that's going on in your life may not be your fault, but what you do about them is. So with that being said, could you let people know where they can find your book at, and if you have any social media handles where they can follow you at?
Yes. So I'm on Facebook, and Instagram. Facebook's Brittany is just Brit Kuhn. Instagram is Brittany1111. And TikTok, I'm on TikTok. It's BritK719. You can get my book on Amazon, or you can shoot me a message and I can send you an autographed copy.
Cool. That's what's up. Britt Hunt, I love you to life. Thank you for allowing me to help you birth a part of you that's going to literally save lives.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that about your book. Once again, if you go whatever you're going through and you think that you can't make it, do yourself the biggest favor and get Brit Kuhn's book Radiant. It will give you hope. It will give you a new perspective that you actually can. Thank you for coming on Listen Up, I Got a Story to Tell podcast. And I look to have you back soon, like even
Yeah.
before the next book.
Forever grateful for you, for helping me make my dreams come true, and helping me create Radiant, and help me get it out there too. So I'm forever grateful for you. You will always be one of my favorite humans.
I stole that line from you, right? Like I
I know,
promise you.
I stole it from somebody else too, so it's all good.
It's cool, but I like it resonates so well with you. So with that being said, thank y'all for tuning in. I will catch you good people next week.
This episode of Listen Up, I Got a Story to Tell podcast has ended. But please be sure to subscribe for more literary strategies and tactics to help you create the profitable, successful author career you've always wanted. And don't forget to rate and leave a review so we can continue to bring you the best author and book-related content. See you on the next episode.